So here we go. I've got this radio as a gift. My mother likes to go garage sailing and shopping and so on. And I just have the GI Joe here for scale, so you can kind of see what it is. So let me show you what's here. I'm going to move this to the side for a moment. So it's made out of wood. These are all, I guess, carved in pieces. The doors do not open. Made in Japan. I think it's 60s, I'm going to guess, maybe 70s, but I think it's a little bit older. Speaker in the back. I didn't know what it was when I first got it. As a matter of fact, when I got it, my mother tried to repair it and wound up putting this latch on backwards, so she scratched it, but we fixed that pretty easy. But when I opened it up, from the top, what it is this old solid state radio with a little thing. And here's actually, if you take a quick look, this is kind of a on-off switch, if you will. So I opened it up to look inside, and here you go. Now, obviously there was no battery in it. I put it in. She didn't know if it worked. My mother knows that I love to tinker with shit to try and get it to fix, and or try and get things fixed. And so I put this radio in to see what it would look like, and here's your electronics inside. The fact that it's made in Japan is pretty cool. I think the electronics would be at least 60s. She's saying maybe 50s, but I'm not sure. Anyway, what happened was I put it in, and you turn it on. There was nothing. So I'm like, all right. So there's nothing there. Well, let's take a look. It's a basic radio. Take a look inside. The on-off switch, or this spring-loaded button here, will operate this piece down here. Make sure I don't get burned by the soldering iron. And so that actually gives contact to this piece of brass, so that it basically gives an on-off switch. Well, the one thing I noticed when I was in there, because she said she didn't test it and she didn't know, she just bought it, which means she got a really good price because it was old and she thought it was cool, was there was this loose wire. So the one thing I noticed, if I, see if we can do this without, it's just soldering iron to my right, I don't want to burn my hand. If I get this on here for a moment, we should be able to, so we've got static, right? Which means we've got juice to it. Now, I don't know what radio station it's tuned into. It looks AM to me, to be honest with you. So that's what I'm saying. I think it goes back a little farther. But the idea here is, what I want to do is I want to get this wire, which is loose, and it looks like it came off and somebody wrapped it around it. But I'm pretty sure if I solder this down to the solder spot, we're going to get a consistent radio there, or it's a consistent sound. So I'm going to try and see if I can attempt soldering. I'm going to be very honest, soldering is not my strong point. It is something I do, but I would never do it professionally due to the fact that I know how to do it. I understand the principles behind it. I'm just not that good at it. So to give me a little help, let's see if I can do this under, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this magnifying glass or not. The way that's laying in there, I'm not sure. Let's see if we can get a good view on it. And yeah, that's not going to really help too much. So we're going to get that out of the way. We're going to see if we can do this. The hard part is getting this where I want. So the first piece we need to do, for those of you that are excellent solderers, you'll know we need to tin that wire. Well, that wire, first of all, is a little jacked up. You can see it's frayed. So what we're going to do is we're going to clip that so we get a better end on it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use soldering iron and some old-fashioned solder to put it there. Now, some people actually use glue guns. If you look at a lot of the new animatronics and stuff that ship out of China, what you'll see is instead of soldering, which is really the best way to do it because it basically heats up metal and then makes a nice metal bond, what they do is they use a glue gun, and they'll just shoot a glue gun into there. Now, I could do that, but because it's vintage, I'd rather it kind of stays vintage. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up this wire so you get this frayed end off of it. All right, there we go. Now we should have a little bit of good wire. You don't need much. You just need enough to make contact. And if you don't want this to come apart, take a look. We took a significant piece of frayed wire off. That's just stranded wire. Sorry, my hands are a mess. Been doing a lot of manual labor recently. All right, so Soldering iron's been heating up for a few minutes. The idea, right, is to just tin this, is just to get a little bit of solder on there. Now, like I said, I'm not an expert solderer, so we're going to do a couple things. One, we're going to see if we can keep it held in place with this little device, which hopefully will give me what I need to hold it so it doesn't move too far. So I really don't want this piece moving. I want it to stay still for me. And if I can get this where I want it, then we should be in good shape. All right, so we can hold that. There we go. You know, one thing with soldering, I always feel like you need like a third hand to get it done. What I want to do is get the solder on there. I really don't want it to drip into anything down there. I want to be very careful. So the idea is I'm going to just heat the wire just a little bit briefly. We're just going to see if we can tin that. The other thing you don't want to do, if you can avoid it, is breathe in all those nasty fumes. Okay, so that's got a tin on it now, so that's tinned. That's pretty good. So, yeah, you don't want to breathe that shit in because that's pretty much mercury or lead, whatever the hell it is, I forget. So, what I'm going to do now is we just want to get enough on there. You just need enough so that what we're going to try and do is heat this spot right here. And then we're going to try and attach this there before it cools. When it cools, it dries very quickly because it looks to me like there may have been at some point, that might have been the solder joint. I don't know if I can get this to stay still while I'm doing it. Yeah, this thing's going to want to slide all over the place. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to put Joe behind him and see if he can hold it. There we go. Hold him in place, Joe. All right. Now, again, I always feel like you need 3 hands to do this. So let me see if I can grab something that's going to hold that for me. And if not, we're going to just wind up doing that shit by hand and doing the best we can. It does take practice to get the stuff, do good soldering in small spaces. So what I want to do is get that right on there. So we're going to see if we get that little bit of heat. See if we can get that to just, come on. Ah, come on. Let's try that again. Come on. Grab. Yeah, it's not doing a good job. This is where my soldering skills suck. Probably want to do is put a new dab of solder on there. Let's see, did I get it? Yeah, and you can always tell, look, if you do a shitty solder joint, if you pull that and it pops off, that's a shitty solder joint. You want to have a good one in there so we can. There we go. All right, so that's not coming off. So now we've got a good joint on there. So let's see if we can get a tune in down here. I don't know what I'm going to get because I'm in the basement down here in the toy room of solitude. We're going to put that back together. That'll hold it. Like I said, I got to look this up. All right, now, let's see if we can give Joe some radio. So the idea is you open it. Volume. It's very old. You can just hear. Turn the dial, sensitive it is. Can we get any radio? How do you like that? It's party time with Joe. All right, we turn that down and then we go off. So there you have it. A little old-fashioned. I've never seen anything like this before. Like I said, my mother's an antique shopper and a garage sailor, if you will. But I thought that was pretty cool. Not bad for an old piece. It's all wood. And it's got some chips and so on. And in all honesty, you could touch these up even with one of those wood markers or so on, but I'm definitely not going to do that. I'm going to leave it as is, just keeps it more vintage. I'm not so much about restoring as I am fixing. There's a big difference. Restoring, making it look like new. Fixing, just getting it to work, right? But this is actually interesting. Even on some of these books, if you take a look, they actually put kind of the gold markings on them so they just didn't look like solid piece of color. I thought that was pretty sweet. All right, there you have it. There's our radio. There's our radio repair for the day. All right, thank you for watching, and have a great day.